Let me take you back to the incident. Here it is.
Keep your hands outside the window. Get out of the car now.
Get out of the car.
Now. Get out of the car now.
Serving this country in this time, cheater.
Yo, well, guess what? I'm a veteran too. I learned to obey. Get out of the car.
What's going on?
Get out of the car now.
What's going on?
What's going on is you're fixing to ride the lightning, son.
I'm sorry.
Get out of the car now. Get out of the car now. Get out of the car.
Sir, just get out the car. Work with us and we'll talk to you. Get out the car.
You received an order. Obey it.
I'm honestly afraid to get out. Can I?
Yeah, you should be. Get out. Get out.
Get out the car.
Get out
I
now.
have not committed any crimes.
You're being stopped for a traffic violation. You're not cooperating at this point right now. You're under arrest for you're being detained. Okay, you're being detained for obstruction of justice.
Traffic violation. I do not have to get out the vehicle. You haven't even told me why I'm being stopped.
Really?
Get
out of the car now. Get out of the car.
Get your hands off me.
Get out of the car.
Get your hands off me.
You know what?
Get your hands off me.
Not a problem.
Hands off me.
Back up, Daniel.
I'm actively serving this country, and this is how you're gonna treat me.
Back up, Daniel.
I didn't do anything.
Back up.
Whoa, hold on.
Daniel.
What's going? Hold on. Watch it.
Get out of the car now.
Sir, just get out of the car. I'm trying to breathe.
Get out of the car and get on the ground now. You're gonna get it again.
I don't even want to reach my seatbelt.
Take your seatbelt off and get out of the car.
Let's put up a screenshot here. All right, just a reminder. This Black Army lieutenant was pepper sprayed by the police, and the amount awarded is laughable. He was pepper sprayed, struck, handcuffed by the Windsor, Virginia police. US Army Lieutenant Caron Nazario filed a $1 million lawsuit against the cops. However, jury only awarded the lieutenant a total of $3,685 in the lawsuit against the Windsor police officers, Joe Gutierrez and Daniel Crocker, left and right respectively. The officers faced 4 counts: assault, battery, false imprisonment, and illegal search. Gutierrez was ordered to pay $2,685 in damages, no malice, under liability for assault. He was cleared of all other charges. Crocker was liable for an illegal search, no malice, however. He was ordered to pay $1,000 in damages. He was cleared of all other charges. Gutierrez was fired by the Windsor Police Department in 2021 for not following department policy during the incident. So the lawyer, Tom Roberts, said in a statement, this is Nazario's lawyer, I said, it was a sad day, and that the verdicts failed to send the message to other police officers that this conduct is unacceptable. It is open season on citizens in Virginia and across the country. Citizens will not rest assured that scenes like this are not repeated with impunity. So look at this. They literally said, yeah, what you did here was wrong. What you did here was wrong. But because we're going to classify it as wrong with no malice, it then basically takes away the statutory impact that a case like this should have, sending an example of why these things must be respected. I'm talking about your rights. All right, they didn't care that he was in the military. Don't give a damn about him being a lieutenant. All right, they talk about back the blue and they all for the country. Look at what happens when the narrative is here, right? Clearly the cops did wrong, right? The jury concluded the cops did wrong. Hell, the department concluded the cops did wrong. All right, thoughts, my dear brother?
This one is disappointing. This is beyond disappointing. I think this video, when I first put it on Rebel HQ almost 2 years ago, it got more than 11 million views, and then we did follow up. I got 5 million views. I mean, the country saw how outrageous this was, and clearly, as you said, the police department, by firing Gutierrez, they saw how outrageous this was, and so I think this doesn't bode well for Windsor, Virginia, and its reputation. I don't like to second guess juries, but on the other hand, I think it sends a message that still in America today in 2023, if you are uppity and you don't have the right skin tone, and you happen to ask police what's going on, and they won't tell you, and you refuse to obey an unlawful command, somehow, in a lot of people's minds in certain communities, you're the one who's responsible. And I think that shows that we have a total lack of justice still in America because we still have incredible prejudice.
That's right, well said. Well said, dear brother. Tell people how they can follow you, check out your great work.
Follow me on Rebel HQ on Facebook or YouTube, on Twitter at David Schuster. But again, go to YouTube or Facebook and search Rebel HQ and our videos will pop up.
Always a pleasure, my friend. Looking forward to next time.
Richie. Thank you, appreciate it.
We appreciate you. Remember, take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Take care of the planet. Remember, the truth is always indisputable.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Unbossed. I don't know, for some reason, I am really feeling my theme music today, and especially when I say I am unbossed. Unbought and unbossed, and when Michael Render, aka Killer Mike, says absolutely, absolutely, I'm feeling that today. So for those of you who are making comments, let me know how you feeling about that. I feel totally blessed to have my own walk on music. So on today's show, we're going to be talking about the queen of neoliberals. She absolutely strikes again, and that's none other than New York Governor Kathy Hochul. New York, please, for the love of God, come get your governor. And an update on a racist, anti-black San Francisco gallery owner. As you know, we covered that story a couple of weeks ago. We have some updates for you. And then you will never believe who is now on the House Oversight Committee. We are going to tell you. And for analysis today, we are so excited to have Malaika Jabali, and she is the politics editor with Essence magazine. How are you, Malaika?
Hi, Senator. I'm well. How are you?
I am wonderful. I'm so glad you're well. Just absolutely ecstatic to have you on here for today's analysis in the show. And just want to know, is there anything new brewing with you right now?
Well, beyond what we've got going on at Essence magazine, I'm really excited about our upcoming issue. And right now we're talking about Black love. February is coming up. But on a personal note, I've been working on a book. It's taken it was due a year ago. And so my editor's like, girl, get it together. So I'm working on a book on socialism. It's a breakup book. So it was kind of framed as a breakup book from capitalism. So I've got a bunch of rom-com references. It's coming out this fall. Sending in all the edits now. So I'm excited about that.
No, we are excited about that too, Malaika, and congratulations. I am in that space too, where I've been battling with a couple of books for the last few years. I need to get my life. So you are definitely providing some encouragement for me to, girl, get it together. I love your editor on that point. Everybody needs a good editor to tell us to get it together.
Right.
Wonderful. Well, we definitely keep us posted. We would love to help lift the book. And so, yeah, and I cannot wait to read it, as I'm sure many of our viewers cannot at all either. So Governor Kathy Hochul of the great state of New York has me saying, WTF, neoliberal.
We will now kneel.
Miss Cinema, no.
You have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
So the total is 2 in favor, 10 opposed, and 7 without recommendation. The nomination is lost. Thank you very much.
So what you just saw there is the New York legislature, the Senate in particular, Judiciary Committee voting down the Judge LaSalle nomination that is coming from the judge. Now, first, let me put up her smug shot. So I just want you to remember who the queen of neoliberals, who she is. Yeah, that is none other than Governor Kathy Hochul. And she is pushing this judge as if her life depends on it. Some of my sources in New York tell me that she is taking this as an affront, that she is really using identity politics as a blunt force object, as in the men weren't treated this way. How dare you treat me this way because the men weren't treated this way. And she also sees it that if she does not get this judge nominated, that it may make her look weak. Judge Hochul, get a grip, baby. If the judge is not good, is not right, you got a whole bunch of groups that have come together in opposition of LaSalle. You might want to rethink your position, but please don't cry, spare us they're doing this to me because I'm a woman. They have laid out the facts. They are doing this to you because those particular groups, whether it is labor, even the NAACP, the members of the Senate Judiciary Committee have made it very clear, those members that voted down, that they don't see Judge LaSalle as the type of person they want to see there. That is their right to do that. It is, but you're forgetting something, that they are a co-equal branch of government, but you're trying to treat them as if they work for you. And I'm glad that they are not standing for it. Let's put up this headline: how one bad court pick in New York has turned into a national quagmire. Governor Kathy Hochul squandered an easy chance for a win. She had one job, just one job, and right now for that moment, and she's, it's not turning out too good for her. So on Wednesday, the New York Senate Judiciary Committee will speak to Hector LaSalle. So they already did that, and you saw the vote. And the governor, Kathy Hochul's nominee for chief judge of the Court of Appeals, which is the highest ranking position of the state's highest court. This reporting is coming from The Slate. They go on in this article. Normally, this would be a routine hearing. In other words, this is a natural process within the political dynamic for a governor to be able to nominate a judge. So normally, this would be a routine hearing. The committee cannot confirm LaSalle. The most it can do is advance him to a full Senate vote. The committee could also make the historic decision not to advance LaSalle, ending his candidacy, although that might only provoke Hochul to make the even more historic decision to sue. So the video, as you see, this has already happened. They voted down. In other words, we don't want to send it to the full Senate, and the governor is not happy about that. And what she may do is sue on the grounds that she has a right to send it to the full Senate. Now you follow me? I'm trying to dress you up on this. Send it to the full Senate. And if in fact it is sent to the full Senate, if she is successful in her lawsuit, as if she doesn't have other work to do, if she is successful in this lawsuit, really she would be leaning on Republicans to help her advance this judge. Either way, the Slate goes on, it's a hearing that will be closely watched by politicos across the country, and it was a strange turn of events for what is usually a minor bureaucratic half step with a foregone conclusion. In other words, that the governors are accustomed to getting what they want. The reason is that this judicial pick has in many ways become the first battle in a consequential, fast expanding war in Democratic politics, and Hochul has badly, and I agree with that, managed the process. Malaika, any analysis or any thoughts about what is happening in the great state of New York?
Well, I think for one, you talked about, or Slate talked about, politicos having their eyes on this, but a lot of voters will as well. As we learned and saw from the 2022 midterm elections, abortion rights was an energizing issue, and Hochul was struggling to get over the finish line. It's not like she won by a landslide with she didn't win by a landslide the first time. She was essentially appointed by default after Cuomo's resignation. And so if you are kind of defying not even just the base, but you're defying what moderate voters are interested in, I would have some concerns about your political future. You barely won in the one election where you were up to be elected by voters. Not only that, Roe versus Wade, the anniversary is coming up on Sunday. So it's kind of a slap in the face to not only the voters who were behind her, but the advocacy groups, the people who have been fighting for abortion rights for decades. And we've got the 50th anniversary of Roe v. Wade on Sunday. And then you present this pick. And then, LaSalle, he's Latino. You've got Hakeem Jeffries that you're also touting out there, that you're putting to the forefront to protect something, which it's kind of like, is it ego? Like, what exactly is the reason for her being so stringent about this pick?
Yeah, Malaika, and a really good point. I like how you centered it back to the voters, because this is actually what this is about, the constituency and the Roe v. Wade. I mean, this judge certainly, by the measures of more progressive leaning folks and women's groups, I mean, a whole host of people who might not necessarily be considered progressive left leaning have gathered a coalition together to say, whether it's labor or women's reproductive health, that Judge LaSalle is not necessarily the judge that they want to see, and they have sounded the alarm. And she even took the opportunity on MLK Day, or during the MLK speech that she gave at a church, to not talk about the life and the legacy, or not to center the life and the legacy of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Instead, she decided to center this Judge LaSalle and her desire to advance him. And so much so that she had police officers escort out an Afro-Latina activist that was standing up in her church to say a few words to the governor. She definitely weaponized the police in a way that they did not need to be weaponized. And State Senator Jabari Breezeport reminds us, so let's put this up in his tweet in October, November, when she was campaigning. Governor Kathy Hochul came to our community to curry black votes, as they often do. This week, y'all know I got to add some Turnerism to this. This week, she's tried to push through bail reform rollbacks. Now, we're talking about a Democrat here and just nominated a former prosecutor to the highest court. It's indefensible to ask black voters and then work to incarcerate us. No to LaSalle. And so Senator Breezeport, along with some other senators in the New York Senate, has made it very clear for various reasons that this is not the judge. And to be Chief Justice there. And I love how Senator Breezeport is really making it clear, reminding her how she was able to win, how she went into the black community, curried favor, and then she had the pure unadulterated gall on an MLK celebration to lift up her Chief Justice pick instead of centering Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. But politicians like her often do this kind of thing. Black church, I'm looking at you. Got to stop letting these politicians, even though that particular church was mixed, but we need to stop letting folks come all up into our church and play games. And that's what the senator was really talking about. And with this pick, Governor Hochul has managed to bring a broad coalition of people together. Slate further reported on that. Let's put this up. Not surprisingly, LaSalle was met with swift condemnation from progressives, but the opposition has been much broader. A number of typically moderate labor unions have come out strongly against the pick, as has the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. Many of the 14 state senators who have already said they won't support LaSalle are far from being Democratic Socialists of America type. And what Alexander from the Slate, Malaika, is really laying out there is that broad coalition. So you can't just say that it is the progressive left that's doing this, that are disappointed and will not and don't want to see this judge advance, that it is a broad swath of people from the various spectrum of politics on the Democratic side.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just reminds me of New York politics overall, because I lived there. I went to law school in New York City. I was living there for about a decade, and I saw some of these things firsthand, where they're not necessarily battling between, and I'm originally from Georgia, they're not necessarily battling between a far right, like Marjorie Taylor Greene represents a district in my home state. They're battling a really entrenched Democratic establishment that has held on to political power in New York City and New York State for so long. And so I think it kind of comes from a practice and an attitude that this is my person, they're on my team. And even if you are a Democrat, even if you're you're supporting policy that's popular, that people like, this is my person. And I'm gonna go with them regardless of what other people say. And they kind of strong arm people to try and do that.
That is absolutely right. That is the name of the game. And that's why I want to remind our viewers, that the legislature is a co-equal. The word being equal branch of government. They do not work for Governor Kathy Hochul or any other governor in legislatures across the country. I served in the Ohio Senate. Certainly sometimes people get this confused. The members of Congress, for example, do not work for the president. But absolutely, if you are part of a political party, it is the expectation that you will walk the straight line, the straight and narrow, and not challenge and not ask questions. Kudos to those senators who have decided that this particular judge is not right for their constituents, and they are making it known. Kudos to the constituencies, whether it's labor or civil rights organizations and women's rights organizations, who are standing up, coming together, saying, hey, in our opinion, this guy is not right. And we want to give Senator Jabari the last word on this through a tweet. He said, committee just voted no on LaSalle. Dems supermajority in the state Senate doesn't need to tolerate Governor Kathy Hochul acting like a Republican on judge nominations or in the upcoming budget negotiation. Boom, okay, mic drop. So the governor is gonna have Malaika a lot on her hands, not just this nomination. And I keep asking myself, for some reason, I just don't understand why she will not let this go. But I guess I kind of answered that at the top of this segment, which is she feels personally aggrieved by what is happening. We will stay tuned to this story. We will definitely keep you updated. And speaking of update, do we have an update for you? You might remember this horrific video. Take a look and a listen. And we have an update from this video. As many of you remember when we first reported this, I definitely had to get my fire extinguisher. This man treated her like she was some type of dog, which I would not want any animal, four-legged animal, to be treated the way that he treated her. She's an African-American woman, a homeless woman, and that him putting the water hose on her conjured up all kinds of memories of Black people being shot up or sprayed rather very powerfully, I might add, with water hoses from firefighters' water hose, which has a lot more force. But it just made me so enraged, and it enraged a lot of other folks too. So to compound all of that, the fact that he said to her, "Are you gonna move? Are you gonna move?" And he had no shame in his game because he didn't think anything was gonna happen to him. But I want you to watch this. Now, the arrest comes after the San Francisco District Attorney's Office issued an arrest warrant for Collier Gwynn. I had been saying he needs to be arrested, so had a lot of other folks, for assault. And that's exactly what he did. And he was really arrogant, not remorseful. He was asked whether or not he felt like he needed to apologize, and he said he did not. Collier Gwynn was booked at 5:37 p.m. on Wednesday. He faces up to 6 months in county jail and a $2,000 fine. I wish he faced years in prison or in jail and much more money than that. The San Francisco District Attorney tweeted this out. Let's take a look at what the district attorney had to say via tweet. Following the investigation and reviewing all the evidence provided, my office has issued an arrest warrant for Collier Gwynn. Gwynn is charged with misdemeanor battery for the alleged intentional and unlawful spraying of water on and around a woman experiencing homelessness on January the 9th, 2022. So here we are, well a month beyond that. Took a long time, but I'm glad they got there. Malaika, any thoughts about that?
Well, you know how we talk about Karens. Well, I don't know if you talk about Karens, but people talk about Karens, and they have like this victim mentality. So they're real aggressive with reporting you somewhere, but then they want to play the victim. This man went on to say that he had a big cross to bear by dealing with this. And I'm like, okay, sir. So he's a Kenneth, not a Karen. And I think it's absolutely atrocious. Of course, I don't like to see people be incarcerated, but sometimes abolition can wait. You know, he effed around and he got to find out sometimes.
Yes, he did, baby. And sometimes abolition can wait. And in this case, I'm with you on that. Yeah, Ken did frickle frackle around and he found out. Yes, he did. And so glad. He just knew he was going to get away.
Siri's like, when you find out, girl, be quiet. My watch is talking to me.
He thought, and I did not think, I thought he was gonna get away with this seriously, because he just arrogantly did that interview saying, hey, like you said, he got the cross to bear and had no fear that what he did to her, he didn't think it was wrong. And that in and of itself is another type of problem.
Right, yeah, he said that he was being compassionate. He had a history of being compassionate with her, but the way that he's standing, I don't see a compassionate bone in his body. He don't look remorseful, not 1 second in that video.
Not at all. And I'm not so sure this is even going to teach him a lesson. We will see. We're going to keep people posted on this. And a reminder that every night in San Francisco, more than 4,300 people sleep on the streets and in parks every single night. The rate of street homelessness, the population of 100,000 residents, and note statistics for Houston, Miami, Seattle, and Los Angeles encompasses cities and counties in each region that fall into the HUD continuum of care and boundaries. And we see where San Francisco is on this. So look, ladies and gentlemen, family and friends, sisters and brothers, family and friends, we got a lot of work to do in this country. Over 500,000 people are unhoused in this country, and we need to do something about it. But by the grace of God, there goes any one of us. And the way that this man, that dude, because y'all know when I say dude, it is not in respect. The way that that dude handled that was morally wrong and it was legally wrong. And I am so glad that he got arrested. Not like Malaika, we're trying to change the legal system that is patently unfair. But in this case, we picking and choosing. And in this case, hey, things are going in the right direction. I just wish they give that brother, that dude, because he ain't a brother, more time and a higher fine. We'll be back. I didn't have to pull out the fire extinguisher before this break. We'll be back after this.
All right, well, the Young Turks special election day coverage dropping.
An amazing power panel.
Look at this panel. You want to talk about power?
It's like a smart Destiny's Child.
We're all too strong. We spun a revolution. Yes, another one. Aren't you excited? Wow. And then Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, everybody. Yay!
You know, this is where it started in a lot of ways.
Why is he lying? Because these are acts that you can commit with impunity.
Most of us are usually in boxer shorts underneath.
I went with the pants today.
This is the first ever power panel with Donald Trump as president.
We have elected the top Twitter troll in the country.
We have to stop pretending that race is not an issue in this country.
Now keep in mind, racism had gone away until Barack Obama brought it back.
That's right. They want to protect life so much that they want to ensure that insurance companies don't cover your maternity care. You don't see a lot of news coverage in the mainstream media of the peaceful Black Lives Matter protests that happened throughout the country.
Black Americans are hurting. Minorities in this country are hurting.
We always talk about starting from the bottom up, but the problem is the bottom up is always the least amount of power. No one cares about them, and until someone actually cares about them, then we'll do something about it.
Please, for God's sake, America, understand, acknowledge, and work towards getting to a new reality where Black lives actually matter.
And welcome back to the show. I'm so proud of myself. No fire extinguisher needed in that first two segments. Listen, we want you to spin the wheel. We want you to become a TYT member. Sign up and spin. Sign up for the annual membership to TYT. Go ahead and put that smartphone up and catch that Q code and spin the wheel for an exciting prize. How to participate? Become an annual TYT member at tyt.com/spin. Spin the wheel when you get your membership confirmation email and land on a prize and wait for delivery via mail. We promise you won't deliver it via Southwest airline. I can't help myself on that. I'm gonna keep hitting on them fools as long as I can. And then, John, Dragon Daddy, baby, he doing a celebration. It's his anniversary. So join us as we celebrate on old school with Dragon Daddy, and that's gonna be on Monday, January the 23rd at 10 p.m. ET time, Eastern Standard Time, and 7 p.m. PT time, that's Pacific time. tyt.com/live, and you want to get your merch, you really do. My dragon name is Black Pearl Dragon, and I'm feeling that. I'm loving that so daggone much. I just want you to know. And then coming up right after the show, up next is Reactions with Ray Vanna on Twitch. Go to twitch.tv/TYT and check it out. Let us support Ray Vanna. Now to the first half of my favorite part of this show, all of your comments. So let's go with TYT members and what they have to say. DJ Dragon, hey DJ, I love your theme music too, Nina. I hope it can be used when you walk out on the stage to announce your your presidential run. Woo, DJ Dragon, I'm feeling you on that. I'm thinking about This Girl Is on Fire too. How about we combine both of those things? But I'm loving it, DJ. And on Twitch, Overseer Dixon. Hey, Overseer. Oh, hell yeah, exclamation point. Gotta love the groovy theme song. Hello, somebody. Hello, Overseer Dixon. And on YouTube Super Chat, Shiva, Nina is a potent goddess. Ooh, let me marinate in that. Nina is a potent goddess. I'm feeling all of that, receiving it, Shiva, thank you. And Sun Queen, my day isn't complete until I have my Nina Turner fix. Sun Queen, sending you so much love for that. And each and every one of you, thank you to our viewers. You allow us to do what we do and to continue to be an independent media source. Without you, we could not do what we do, boo. We love you. Thank you so very much. Now, the GOP committee are clowns, and the show continues to go on and on and on and on. Watch this.
Marjorie Taylor Greene has no place in Congress. She's promoted vile conspiracies that the Sandy Hook and Parkland mass shootings were false flags. 9/11 was an inside job. The Clintons had John F. Kennedy Jr. murdered. The deadly California wildfires were caused by a Jewish space laser. She's expressed support on social media for executing Democratic lawmakers.
George Santos has essentially lied about every aspect of his life. He has essentially pretended to be a biracial Ukrainian, Belgian, Brazilian volleyball champion and brain cancer survivor, whose mother died twice, including on 9/11, whose ancestors survived the Holocaust, whose employees died in the Pulse mass shooting, and who miraculously became a multimillionaire overnight.
Santos is all types of ridiculous. I mean, that's just how I'm gonna frame. I will frame this up that way. And despite all of this, the House Speaker, Representative Kevin McCarthy, just couldn't help himself. Take a look.
Do you expect Mr. Santos to get seated on the committee today?
Yeah, because we will be done with all committees today. He'll get seated on committees, yes.
You said yesterday you had some questions about his past. Did you raise concerns during the campaign season before the election?
Well, I raised my staff raised concerns when he had a staff member who impersonated my chief of staff, and that individual was let go when Mr. Santos found out about it.
Kevin McCarthy is handing out House committee assignments, and Marjorie Taylor Greene just landed a big one.
Well, she has landed a seat on the House Homeland Security Committee, which is the committee that she desired the most. This is the committee that's going to be most focused on the situation happening at the border and really a great deal of oversight over the Department of Homeland Security.
We can't make this stuff up. And what you saw right there, many videos all put together, but particularly when Speaker McCarthy said, yeah, I had some questions, because that but was really about him becoming Speaker of the House at any cost. And this is yet another example of it. A Santos staffer literally impersonated McCarthy's chief of staff, as he said in that video. And he said, fine by me, here's a committee assignment. Don't you worry about it, baby. As long as you keep me in power, who cares that you defrauded the voters of your district? The xenophobic conspiracy theorists and serial liars are getting committee positions. Yes, they are. Because for McCarthy, it's all about raw power. And he does not care about the people in the districts of these folks who stumbled upon a congressional seats. Ooh, Lord, y'all need to come get these people. And we are now seeing that McCarthy was willing to sacrifice a whole lot of things just to get the gavel. So here's more context on the committees that Santos will serve on. The House GOP Steering Committee on Tuesday recommended that embattled Representative George Santos sit on the House Small Business Committee and the House Science, Space, and Technology Committee. I don't know, that space part might fit because the man is really living somewhere in outer space with all of this foolishness and mayhem. The recommendation from the House GOP Steering Committee, a panel around 30 members of the House leadership and elected regional representatives, will have to be approved by the full House of Representatives, House Republican Conference. The conference typically approves the steering panel's recommendation. That's just politics. That is how it goes. And members of the GOP are coming up with excuses for this laughable recommendation. Representative Roger Williams of Texas, chairman of the Small Business Committee, was quoted as saying, "I don't condone what he said, what he's done. I don't think anybody does, but that's not my role. He was elected. He represents 1 million people." Really, Representative? Really, sir? Really? I got some toddlers in my life that could have, done a lot better than you, but there we go. But Santos and Marjorie Taylor Greene aren't the only far-right wingers getting assignments. Take a look at this.
I, Paul Gosar from Arizona.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Arizona rise?
I rise up for myself and 60 of my colleagues to object to the counting of the electoral ballots from Arizona.
I'm trying not to sigh. That was Representative Paul Gosar, mere hours after January 6th attack. Are we old enough to remember that? Calling for a rejection of the election results. And Gosar took it a step further. Representative Paul Gosar called the January 6th US Capitol rioters, quote, "peaceful patriots," end quote, and said that Ashali Babbitt, the far-right rioter who was killed by Capitol Police that day, was executed. Yeah, we are not making this up. This is real life stuff. And now Gosar got a seat on the House Committee on Natural Resources, where he previously served. Greene and Gosar were also among several GOP hardliners, which also include Boebert, Perry, added to the House Oversight Committee, according to Republican sources. Malaika, we can't make this stuff up.
Yes, we cannot make this up at all. It is like we're watching a horror film. You called this a clown show. We're watching the movie It right now. This is, if you asked us where we would be as a country 10 years ago, even though we know the story of America, we know all the devastation and brutality, but the fact that we're seeing not even like a modicum of decorum whatsoever. Like even people who were promoting slavery weren't this out and about with it. It was like, let's pretend that we're civil at least. But with the current Republican leadership that we have right now, Republican leaders, all bets are off. And that basically, I would say that happened ever since Trump, when we allowed a racist, conspiracy theorist, Twitter reality show personality to become the president. We said that we're gonna accept anybody, and by we, I really mean Republicans. But this country is just like, okay, we're really gonna go there. And so I think you just have a lot of Republicans who are competing for that same kind of shock and awe effect. And the problem with this is that we're unfortunately not getting to the real issues. So it's a clown show. It's also a sideshow, because we have all kinds of, as you know, all kinds of economic devastation hitting everyday working class people in this country. You represent Ohio, you have been in legislative government for so long, and you know the issues that are facing our people, Black folks, Latinos, working class white people. There's been a report right now that unionizing is the lowest it's ever been, despite all the kind of high profile efforts we've seen at Amazon or Starbucks, because people lost their jobs and they're coming back into temporary work. So we can't talk about that because we have to talk about this sideshow, and it's scary, and so we need to talk about it. But unfortunately, they are allowing us to not be able to deal with people's everyday material needs.
Yeah, true that. And the clown show is definitely a sideshow. That's exactly what it is. And then McCarthy has really gone as far as, he kicked some Democrats off of their committee, because this, unfortunately, is what the two-party system has gotten us, this kind of duel between the people who have the power, and what is left in the wake is, Malaika, exactly what you just said. The people get left behind. So McCarthy told the Associated Press that he would move to strip the trio of their assignments, following through on a vow of payback. At least he's transparent about it, for Democrats ousting Gosar and Greene from their panels during the last Congress. So he is going to move Adam Schiff, Eric Swalwell, and Representative Omar from their committees. And he said, hey, clearly, I just want you folks to know what you're dealing with. This is in fact revenge. McCarthy is normalizing lies and hatred with these committee assignments, but he doesn't care because this is about power, power and more power, power, power for the sake of power, not power to be in service to the people. He is giving people who are unfit to lead the type of power, and they have no business having it. And on the flip side, Democrats did not invest in House races in New York and in Oregon, shame on you, Democratic Party, and failed to push through the progressive candidates who would not have let this slide. In other words, the neoliberal Democrats spent more time amassing and raising money to mess with progressive champions than they did protecting the flank and trying to ensure that they held on to the House of Representatives. So maybe the clown show, in Malaika's words, would not be the side show. Yeah, a lot of responsibility. Desantis, Ron DeSanctimonious. Now, yeah, Trump named him right on that. Y'all know I love that name. Strikes again. Take a look.
But I'll tell you, being the free state of Florida did not happen by accident, because it required us over these last few years to stand against major institutions in our society, the bureaucracy, the medical establishment, legacy media, and even the President of the United States, who together were working to impose a biomedical security state on society. They sought to marginalize people who declined COVID jabs by using things like vaccine passports.
This governor called on state lawmakers to make permanent existing penalties for companies that require all employees to get a vaccination. Now, listen, we all have a role to play in trying to help tame COVID-19. We know that it is mutated, it is going to continue to mutate and have different variances. And this dude, Florida, please get your governor. But we gonna have a mess on our hands, America. Because this man, and I know some folks in America like this dude, but this man will be running for president. This is what we dealing with. Feel as though nobody has a role. Everybody has a role to play in trying to help tame this COVID vaccine. So let's take a look at this. The proposal would extend indefinitely measures DeSantis signed in 2021 that made Florida the first state in the country to threaten businesses with fines if they required their workers to get the COVID-19 vaccine. These measures pitted DeSantis and Florida against the federal government over President Joe Biden's efforts to get the country's workforce inoculated. Look, if he has some very real concern, handle it like a big boy. But don't abuse your power in this way. But this is what this dude is doing. And now as DeSantis considers running for president, he is reigniting this battle. DeSantis has encouraged skepticism of the COVID-19 vaccines altogether. Listen to what he had to say about the booster.
Every study now has said with these new boosters, you're more likely to get infected with the bivalent booster. So what possible reason could you force that? And we're one of only a few countries in the entire world that imposes that. I don't even think China imposes that anymore.
The one thing that he said right is the world. That was the only word that I would agree with, because this is going to take a worldwide effort to try to tame this virus. The world has to try to tame it. And what this sanctimonious is doing is not helping at all. We have a problem. Let's put up this graph. When it comes to COVID-19 stats, Johns Hopkins University provides the breakdown about the confirmed cases, the numbers of death, the total tested, people testing positively. We're tracking this vaccine, the vaccine tracker, because we need to track it. We need more and more people to at least get the vaccine. And let us not forget that in many countries where poor countries, they have not even, there are some people who haven't even had the vaccination yet. So this is a worldwide challenge. And if he disagrees with the federal government, if he disagrees with the way that these things are being handled, have a conversation. But do not abuse your power by putting sanctions on and penalizing, rather, businesses that are really trying to keep people safe. Malaika, any thoughts about the conspiracies that are going on about the vaccine and thoughts about Governor Desantis?
Well, honestly, I don't know how much they actually believe in it. I think Republicans just have a penchant for appealing to various elements of their base. I think they know what energizes people to come out and vote for them, whether or not they personally believe in those stances. And it's funny to me that he's saying that he's representing a free state, and at the same time, he's having bans on abortions. He wants to, or sign into law, a ban that would prohibit abortion even without an exception for rape or incest. He wants to ban AP African American Studies. And so actually there's a new AP African American Studies course that's being offered in high schools. And he just announced recently that he's going to make sure that it doesn't enter Florida high school. So for such a free man who's a fan of liberty and democracy, he sure has an odd way of showing it.
Yeah, he does, and we are on this show going to get deep into that ban on the AP's teaching of African American history. But the type of freedom he wants is you're free to do what I say, what I tell you to do, and if you don't do what I tell you to do, then I'm gonna take away that freedom. Now, Ron DeSantis is appointing advisors who really are insane in ways. I want you to take a look at this.
Policies based upon federal health officials' recommendations over the past few years have left many feeling powerless, angry, and confused. So, however, these challenging, seemingly upside down years have brought many of us, including myself, closer in our faith with our Heavenly Father. And I want to encourage you, in recognition of that, encourage you to reach out and call out to Jesus and seek first the kingdom of God.
Yeah, baby. Seek first the kingdom of God. I get it. I am a Black liberation, Christian woman. I get it. But God wants us to be wise too. And there are some of us who believe that doctors and nurses and how we utilize science is in fact the work of God, blessing people to have these expertise, these specialties, so that they can help us be healthy in this country. But this dude right here, he's saying, don't take the vaccine, don't take any vaccines, just pray to Jesus and it's all gonna be okay. Has he ever thought about maybe Jesus put into the world people who are able to study these things and come out to help folks? Because those who do believe in a higher power, God ain't coming off the throne to do it. But he has blessed many of us with gifts and talents to help combat and to deal with some of the ills facing humankind. But this man said, just go ahead and pray to Jesus. I just can't. Put up this headline: Florida Governor DeSantis taps a new Surgeon General who doesn't support vaccine mandates. Just pray to Jesus, and it's all gonna be all right. Malaika, I don't even know what kind of analysis you want to give on this, but have at it.
I felt like you gave the sermon right there, because I was going to say Jesus gave me some sense. He gave me the ability to read. I have the ability to be a critical thinker. And if I see people dying from a disease, I'm going to do what I can to prevent it. So, they can do what they want to do. And, this is probably a well-known trope at this point, but they're so pro-life, except when it comes to preventing people from dying from their own foolish policy.
That part, that you preaching the gospel too. That part. Wow, I mean, we can't make this stuff up. You guys, we would say get the popcorn, but there's serious consequences to people like him, to people like Governor DeSantis, to what is happening in that Congress, that there are gonna be a lot of people hurt by this kind of abuse of power. And so we gotta be, come on now. Some of this stuff does not make sense whatsoever. We got to be vigilant. Florida, y'all got to do something. And the nation has to do something, because this dude really is gonna run for president. You just getting a preview of coming attractions. We'll be back after this.
Indisputable has been named the fastest growing news TV show in the United States of America, compared to all shows on CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, and roughly 30 others. What do we do on this show? We tell the truth. You know why we tell the truth? Because the truth is simply indisputable. Donald Trump radicalized citizens. He's the chief terrorist. Republicans still want you to think that critical race theory is the greatest evil that can happen in K through 12 education. It's not even taught. I guarantee you this, David. If he would have taken a knee during the national anthem to bring awareness to the need for more money for cancer research in America, he would not have had that response. It was the fact that he took a knee for black folk and brown folk. You rather pick the voters because you're scared of the voters picking the politicians. It frightens you. But we coming. When you are in a privileged position, equality looks like oppression to you. The Karenicity runs deep in this one. We provide a mirror for reflection and a mirror for correction.
So what if I have 35? Don't hit me. Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
So let's put up the graphic of this Karen in peak performance. Boom. They want anarchy so they can start creating their own rules.
Can you share with me some examples?
When they were running around during the terrorist attack on January 6th saying, hang Mike Pence. So those are the people I'm talking about. That's a problem, correct? You work for Mike Pence, stand up for the guy. Do not allow the ideology of politics to evaporate the humanity that still exists inside of you. They don't stop, I don't stop. Racism won't stop, I won't stop. Systemic bias won't stop, so I won't stop. People still need health care, so I won't stop. People still need criminal justice systems reformed in this country, so I won't stop. And you won't stop either.
Universal health care, raising the minimum wage, doing something about climate change and gun violence and an unjust justice system that locks up black and brown folks. We're not going for the okie doke no more.
I think Nina Turner is the leader of the progressive movement right now.
It is absolutely a sin and a shame to be in the 21st century in America and having people who are elected to office not only try to separate us, but also use public policy to make it harder to vote.
The questions that we get asked is how you gonna pay for it? I said, we gonna pay for it the same way we pay for the tax cuts. That's how we gonna pay for it. We're gonna pay for it in the same way that we give military industrial complex contractors. That's how we gonna pay for it.
If standing up for a universal health care or Medicare for all is wrong, Jink, I don't want to be right. If believing that working people deserve to have paid family and medical leave is wrong, I don't want to be right. If wanting everyday people of this nation to live a good life is wrong, then I don't want to be right.
We are being tested whether we have courage enough, conviction enough, people power enough to stand up and do what is right for ourselves and generations yet unborn.
I'm Nina Turner, and I am unbought and unbossed.
When I started, TYT had already been around for 5 years. It was very possible that it was just gonna crumble and fall apart.
Long before I started working here, I listened to years of TYT.
I came in as a college kid at SC. I was trying to get into broadcast.
I was in a family that thought we were liberal Republicans.
I wish I could sit down with people and give them the opportunity to get to know me on a deeper level.
We moved generations. Am I proud of that? Hell yeah, I am.
Welcome back to the show. We are so glad you are here. Don't forget, right after Unboss, you should support Rayvana with Ray Actions. Please tune in. And you can do that on twitch.tv/TYT. That's twitch.tv/TYT. TYT. And we need you to spin the wheel, become a member. And if you are already a member, why don't you gift it to somebody? Make their day. It doesn't have to be a special holiday or anything. Just go ahead and gift them. Sign up and take the spin. Sign up for the annual membership to TYT and spin the wheel for an exciting prize. You can become an annual TYT member at tyt.com/spin. Spin the wheel when you get your membership confirmation email. Land on a prize, yes, and wait for it to be delivered. Please do that. And then once you join John, Dragon Daddy, for an old school celebration on Monday, January the 23rd, 10 p.m. ET, 7 p.m. PT. Go to tyt.com/live. It is Dragon Daddy's anniversary. And while you're at it, grab some new merch. You can get some unbought merch. You can get some Dragon merch. Just do that. Support, support, support. So here we go. Phase 2 of my favorite part of the show. We got TYT member Mickey C. Hey, Mickey C. McCarthy gave up all his power because he doesn't care about legislating. So true. He only desperately wanted the word speaker on his resume. You better say that, Mickey C. Tell it like it is, like it is. And Dengar Dragon, Black Pearl Dragon Queen. Thank you, love. And on YouTube Super Chat, Rhea Land, DeSantis is a clown. I'm gonna amen that, underscored, bolded, underline it, put it in a message in a bottle, baby, on the train. I am with you on that. Many thanks to all of our viewers who commented. We know we couldn't get to every comment, but we do appreciate you. And more importantly, as I say all the time, cannot say it enough. We could not do what we do without you. And so thank you, thank you, thank you for your support of this show. And thank you for your support of the TYT network. Wealth tax bills, you don't need a reminder, but nonetheless, the system is rigged. Take a look.
99% of Americans pay about 7.2% of their wealth in total taxes every year, but the top 0.1%, they only pay about 3.2%. The unfairness runs deep. Homeownership is the #1 way that most middle-class Americans build wealth, and those Americans pay property taxes every single year on that wealth. But if you are an ultra-millionaire or a billionaire, you have a million different kinds of assets: stock, paintings, diamonds, gold, cash, and you get to hang on to all of those assets as they appreciate without paying taxes.
Go ahead on, Senator Warren, breaking it down like it ain't never been broke. You doing that, Senator. So lawmakers from 7 different states have taken it upon themselves to try to change the situation that Senator Elizabeth Warren just laid out. Frustrated with federal inaction in the face of soaring inequality, Democratic lawmakers in 7 states across the US are teaming up this week to simultaneously introduce wealth tax bills targeting the fortunes of billionaires and other rich individuals who have seen their net worth explode in recent years. Thanks, Jake Johnson from Common Dreams. And the 7 states are California, Connecticut, Illinois, Hawaii, Maryland, New York, and Washington. The Washington Post, which got an inside look at the proposed legislation, reported the following. Some of the state bills resemble the wealth tax that Senator Elizabeth Warren pitched during her 2020 presidential candidacy. It's a form of taxation never before attempted in the United States, in which very wealthy people would have to pay taxes annually on assets that they own, rather than just their income that year. Now, other bills focus on raising money from more conventional forms of taxation, including capital gains tax and estate tax. The state legislators say they would like to try such ideas as a test case for future national policy while acting collectively to minimize the threat of people moving to nearby lower tax states. So Malaika, this is quite incredible that you have states taking the power in their own hands and not waiting for the federal government to do so.
Yeah, and I think that really signals the way that power and the way that voters and elected officials are thinking about power in this country. because the federal government has shown, that it's not well equipped to deal with these issues of wealth inequality and income inequality and injustice. Unfortunately, there are a lot of donors on both sides of the aisle that contribute to maintaining the status quo. And so both Republicans and Democratic voters have turned their eyes towards state level policy, local policy to try and change things and transform, the lives of their constituents for good or bad. And, I really appreciate Senator Warren. She makes it plain, like we say in church, make it plain. She will educate you with a quickness. And I appreciate, on top of that, the fact that she's just getting back to the basics. This was something that obviously she introduced during her campaign for president, was to have this wealth tax, and to be able to resurface these ideas and to talk more about, again, these material issues outside of what's going on with the drama in Congress or the presidency or whatever. It's good to be able to go back to these bread and butter issues.
Yeah, very much so. And it's really good to see some members of state legislatures really taking this in their own hands. Let's take a look at this chart that shows the richest Americans and how they avoid taxes and pay lower tax rates. We do have a problem. We have an inequality problem. This is the second phase of the golden age in the Gilded Age, I should say, in the United States of America. We need to do something about it. And not even a pandemic can slow the ultra rich. Wealth of the world's 10 richest men doubled in the pandemic. Yeah, that's exactly right. And 7 of them are American, by the way. We got Bezos, we got Gates, we have Ellison, Larry Page, Mark Zuckerberg, Steve Ballmerman, and Warren Buffett, and they all benefited from this broken tax system. We are definitely on this show, as you know, going to keep up with this, but kudos to those legislators and those legislators who are really taking this in their own hands. Well, to some good news. Let's end the show that way, shall we? Cancer death rates fall. According to the American Cancer Society, the rate of people dying from cancer is declining, and that is really good news. US cancer death rates falls 33% since 1991, partly due to advances in treatment, early detection, and less smoking, reports say. And this reporting is coming from CNN. This is really, really good news for us. The US cancer death rate has fallen 33% since 1991, which corresponds to an estimated 3.8 million deaths averted. The rate of lives lost to cancer continued to shrink in the most recent year, for which data is available between 2019 and 2020 by 1.5%. And progress comes from the following areas: improvement in cancer treatment, drops in smoking, and increases in early detection. And according to Karen Cusden, Chief Executive Officer for the American Cancer Society, the 33% decline in cancer mortality is truly formidable. New revelations for prevention, for early detection, and for treatment have resulted in true meaningful gains in many of the 200 diseases that we call cancer. Oh, Malaika, such good news. I mean, we have many more miles to go in some areas. The news is not as great, but to see that this is happening is beautiful.
Absolutely. Thank goodness for science and healthcare professionals. And I hope Desantis and them, they don't want to deny their people cancer treatments because it didn't come directly from God.
Come on, Desantis and them. I love it. Yeah, don't. Because in some ways, indirectly, this knowledge, if they want to think of it this way, is in fact coming from God. Like you and I were joking, like just because God didn't come down from heaven on the lightning bolt. Yeah, didn't come down, but is doing it through people. I often say that God works through people, and advancements like this is showing that God is truly working through people. Hello, somebody. Malaika, it was so tremendous having you on the show today. We cannot wait to have you back again, chief editor and editor at Essence Magazine, working on a book that is going to educate and edify us on the role of socialism in this country. We cannot wait to have you back to discuss your book. We really appreciate you being here with us today. And
Senator, and I've been wanting to for so long. I've been bouncing around. I was in Mexico. I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna have some stable Wi-Fi finally. So I'm glad after touch and go, I made it.
Yes, you did. And so many more miles. You are just really getting started. You are one of the many bright lights in this world, and we do appreciate you. And we do so much appreciate our viewers. We thank you so much for joining us on Unbossed. Now, you know what I like to say about this time. I truly want you to keep the faith and know that God does work through people. For those of us who do believe in God, I want you to keep the faith. But more importantly, I want you to keep the fight. Until next time.